Hello, everyone. Good morning, YouTube. So today, question is, what do you wish people knew about you? And because we like to say that we're so misunderstood, and a lot of times we are, or mistaken for something else, or I don't know, misunderstood, or nobody understands me, nobody can connect with me, that kind of thing. I don't necessarily feel that anymore because of you guys and having other people similar to myself to communicate with. I don't feel like I'm completely misunderstood anymore. Sometimes I still am. Sometimes people don't understand me, and I'm kind of okay with that. But the question, what do you wish people knew about you? And I made a list. And I was just kind of thinking over it. So I'll see if I get all the way through it. I don't know. We'll see. But I think about almost everyone I interact with long after said interaction. So every person that I talk to, whether it be in person, on the phone, text message, or even your comments, or clients of mine, someone I see in the store, sometimes even people that I didn't interact with, I just saw them, I think about them long after that interaction. If I have a conversation with someone, I tend to kind of analyze that conversation later and try to figure out if what I did was best for them, And people that I'm close to, I tend to think about almost all the time. I mentioned before, and some of these things you guys might know because I may have talked about these things before to you, but I guess what I was thinking of is like people in your general life or new people that you're meeting or wanting to be friends with, or that want to be friends with you, things that I wish they knew about me and could understand. That's what I'm talking about today. So I'll try to stay on task here. Joy, joy, joy. I watch people's faces and eyes to decide what they are, who and what they are. More than the words that they say, more than the things that they say about themselves or the things that they say they're going to do, I look at their eyes. There's the thing, the eyes are the windows to the soul. There's truth in that. I can see a lot more from someone's face and eyes than I can see from how they speak. It's important for me if I am going to interact with somebody on a regular basis for me to see their eyes. I'm not very good at holding eye contact for very long because for some reason eye contact for a long period of time or for more than a few seconds, I guess, feels intimate to me and it's very powerful. And one of the things that I like to do when I am praying for someone is to ask them to look at me, look in their eyes, at least for a few seconds, just so I can see them. So eye contact, at least for a brief moment, is very important to me. And if I'm going to have a relationship with someone in any sense of the word, I need to see the eyeballs. I keep a lot to myself out of fear of being too much. And what I'm talking about here is in a friendship, in a conversation with a person that I really want to connect with, I keep a lot to myself because I'm afraid always that the joy that's in here is going to be too much for the outside world, going to be overwhelming for that other person. And yeah, so I fear being too much. I fear being too needy, too loud, too opinionated, too weird, and too bossy. And I am a mom, and I've kind of had naturally like a mother's type role for a very long time, and I tend to mother everyone within 10 feet of me, whether they need mothering or not. So I can be a little bit bossy, but once I finally get comfortable with someone, I still tend to hold back a lot of what's going on up here and in here because I fear being too much and scaring them away. And then they think maybe, well, they don't think this is what I think they think. That, wow, this girl is a lot. She's too much and she is not really what I thought she was. And that's my own insecurity. It's not necessarily the truth. I do find that people don't have that experience necessarily with me, but I fear being too much, so I keep a lot in. And maybe that's me. It might be some of my training from younger years that you stay quiet, you stay small, you keep everything to yourself, you keep your thoughts and your feelings inside and you don't let them out. And some of that might be personality and just plain old fear of man, you know? I think I'm really funny. I have, I guess my husband refers to it as a dry sense of humor. And I have a sarcastic kind of sense of humor. And sometimes I laugh at things because I find them funny and no one else is laughing. But then the more I talk, then maybe they'll laugh. I don't know. My clients, I keep my clients laughing most of the day, and I laugh a lot. I laugh a lot. And especially when I'm sitting by myself and I'm thinking about, analyzing conversations and I'm thinking about things that were said, then I'm laughing by myself. And they probably think, oh, Joy has finally lost it. She's laughing by herself and she can't even explain what's so funny. I am insecure and confident at the same time. And I was thinking about this, and it relates back with not sharing everything or keeping things to myself out of fear. I'm confident in that I pretty much know who I am at this point at 41 years old, and with all the self-examination and healing and prayer and all of these things that I've gotten in this last year and rejoining community and all of those things working together, I know who I am for the most part. I'm sure there's some stuff I got to figure out yet, but I know who I am. I know how I work. But at the same time, I'm insecure. I still feel as if, I still have that bit of abandonment fear of everyone really finding out what I'm like, me disappointing them and leaving me behind, losing all the people that I love and being alone. As much as we like to spend time by ourselves, because I do like to spend time by myself, I don't want to be alone all the time. So I'm confident in that I know what I'm capable of. I know what I am. I love myself a lot more than I did a year ago. But at the same time, I always have that insecurity of worrying that people will find out who I am and leave, So there's still that insecurity. I doubt compliments. I'm reading off my list now. I doubt compliments. I analyze conversations, and I fear being abandoned by all. And yeah, so that's still some work to do there. I have difficulty expressing my feelings for people or situations verbally. So I will do for them instead. I will do things for them instead of telling them how much I appreciate them, how much I love them, what their relationship means to me, what their friendship means to me. I have a difficult time verbalizing that. I can write it, But then when I read it back, I'm like, oh my goodness, way too affectionate, way too over the top, mushy, way too much, way too much, way too much, way too much. Back to the I keep a lot to myself. These things are all kind of similar. But I have difficulty verbalizing it, so I will do for them instead. I will do things for them, give them things, things that I've made, things that I have that they need. I will share what I have rather than speaking it, because I have difficulty verbalizing and it comes out awkwardly, and then then I'm sarcastic and I laugh and then it's a big joke and that's not what I intended, so I just don't say it. And I have difficulty receiving that kind of affection when people tell me how much they appreciate me. I have difficulty receiving it as well. So verbalizing and receiving, it goes in, but I almost want to push it back and say, please don't say that, because it makes me uncomfortable. Yeah, which is a problem, but we'll work on it. It's just immersion therapy. Be around people that appreciate and love you, and they will say it, and then you have to hear it, and eventually maybe it will sink in. We hope, anyway. I live a simple, frugal life. Some of you may know that. I want a lot of people to know that. I like pretty things. I put myself together in a way that makes me feel confident, maybe to mask my insecurity a little bit, but I don't really spend a lot of money. Things come from thrift stores. I just live a frugal life, a simple life, because that's what I like. I don't like fancy things. I drive a 20-year-old vehicle from my choice. My husband would really like me to buy something newer, but I'm like, hey, still running, paid for, whatever, don't need it. And I love my chickens, and I love living in the country, and I like a simple life. City life, fancy life, not for me. No way. I spend a lot of time listening to worship music and praying while going about my day. I think I wanted to say I spend a ridiculous amount of time listening to worship music, because honestly, if I could have my earbuds in with that music playing all the time, I would. But I do have to interact with my family, so I can't do that all the time. But it really brings me a lot of peace, and it keeps me from going into that negative place in my head that wants to tear me apart, And if I could just be in the presence of Jesus all the time, I think, well, I'd never talk to you guys, and I'd never talk to anybody else either. I would just sit in that all the time. So I do spend a lot of time with that worship music, and I do have specific times of the day that I dedicate to only that, prayer and worship and listening, and we discussed that before. And this is a kind of a strange one too. I don't always recognize myself, my physical self, on camera and in mirrors. I'm not sure what that is about. Every once in a while, and I did a whole video dedicated to that, but I'm not sure what that's about, but I almost can't recognize what I look like necessarily, and someone will point something out and be like, oh yeah, that is right. But yeah, sometimes when I see photos of myself or catch myself in a mirror from the side, I don't always recognize myself. I'm like, who is this woman? It's a strange thing. Who is this woman? And on videos too, I'm like, is that me? Did I say that? Do I look like that? I don't know what I think I look like, but it's just odd. That's a hard one to explain. And the last one is YouTube. Doing YouTube is hard. It seems like it would be an easy thing to just sit down, hit record, talk about whatever, talk about yourself, talk about problems you're having. But it is a difficult thing for me. It's a love-hate relationship. I battle almost on a weekly basis with quitting, to stop doing it. But at the same time, I see its value for other people and for myself. And I want to continue doing it, but sometimes it's hard, I told someone, I told a friend that doing YouTube is like standing naked in front of a crowd of thousands with a placard behind you listing all your insecurities for everyone to read. And they're allowed to comment on said insecurities. They're allowed to pick apart everything you do, and then you're faced with not only analyzing all of those things that other people said, but then analyzing how did I make them feel, and am I doing the right thing, but then when the good comes from it for other people, when I've helped someone, and I had said from the beginning, if I help one person to not feel alone, to not feel misunderstood, to find joy in their life, to see Jesus in another person, a real person, then it's worth it, So YouTube is not easy for me. It is a struggle, but I keep doing it, at least for this season of my life, and I really, really appreciate you guys a lot, more than you know. I think about you guys a lot, a lot. And yeah, so answer this question for me. What do you wish people knew about you? It doesn't have to be a whole long list, maybe one thing. I don't know why I had so many things. I could have ended it with one thing, but anyway, live in love, out of the way you were created. Take care.